Thank you everyone for joining us tonight for this CHS course selection night. We're very excited that you've all logged on. I'm Fallon Ballasone, the Director of School Counseling for the high school, and I'm very fortunate to have Principal Sanchez here with me if you'd like to say hello.
Welcome, everyone.
So we're going to do a brief presentation about our course offerings at the high school and hopefully start to get everyone a little bit hyped up for next year. I know we're so excited to be able to plan ahead and think about that right now. And then we'll have the opportunity for a live Q&A at the end. So if you could please type your questions into the chat. Not the Q&A, but the chat. That's the one that we're going to look at. That would be awesome. And you can type in your questions at any time, or you can kind of wait till the end of the presentation, whatever works for you. And yes, this is being recorded and we will have it posted on the SOMSD YouTube page, hopefully by the end of this week, if not early next week. So first, I just wanted to remind everybody about the opportunities for meetings with the counselors regarding your course selection for next year. So if you are a junior, those meetings are happening now via the junior meetings that you're scheduling with your counselors. And I know those are wrapping up. So if for some reason you have not scheduled your junior meeting with your counselor, please make sure you do that tonight. Students, if you go onto Canvas, to the Counseling Center's Canvas page, there's links to all of the counselors' calendars on there, and that's where you would sign up for a junior meeting slot. If you're having any trouble with that at all, just email your counselor and they'll schedule an appointment with you. So at those meetings, the counselors are discussing your course request for next year. If you are a sophomore, then you have the opportunity to meet with your school counselor the first week in March, which is next week. And the counselors' calendars were also sent out to you. And so we ask you to just click on your counselor's calendar and sign up for one of those slots for next week, for the first week in March. We hope that you can sign up for a slot that is outside of instructional time, either during your lunch period or after 12. But of course, if you're in a bind and there's very little appointments left on your counselor's calendar, just please let your teacher know if you need to duck out for the 15-minute appointment with the counselor. And if you are a 9th grader, then you have the opportunity to meet with your counselor the second week in March. So not next week, but the following week. And you also just sign up on their calendar, same situation. So we are encouraging everybody to schedule this meeting with their counselor. It is not mandatory. That's a big question I've been getting. What is mandatory is to actually submit your course requests. But we are strongly encouraging you to sign up for the meeting with the counselor. It's a great opportunity to kind of get their perspective and just make sure you're thinking about some of those longer term items like classes that might have prerequisites and just things that might not be on your radar. It's a great opportunity for that. And at these meetings, the counselors are actually doing 4-year planning with you. Well, however many more years you have left of high school planning with you, where they're going to be sharing a Google Doc with you and your parents or guardians that kind of spells out your graduation progress. And it's a form where you're also able to kind of plan ahead. So if you're a 9th grader, your counselor will be talking to you not only about 10th grade, but will also be kind of projecting forward and thinking about the full, 4-year plan for you at that meeting. And you'll walk away with a shared Google Doc that you'll be able to check in on any time and that you'll be able to revisit each year with your counselor and will ultimately be like your graduation progress audit. So we are strongly encouraging these meetings. What is really important to note here is that we are asking for you to be prepared to review your submitted course requests at these meetings. So we're asking that you do a little bit of work ahead of time. Coming to this evening is a great way to start, and I'll talk about some other ways that you can prepare for that. But we are asking that you've read through our course offerings, thought about it, and actually entered some course requests prior to the meeting with the counselor. They'll then review those with you, and you can change any course requests that you make through March 26th, which is the submission deadline for the course requests. The meetings aren't, unfortunately, we don't have time for them to be too long since we do want to see everybody. So it's a short meeting. It's a 15-minute meeting. And if you already have the course request submitted, it'll make it that much faster and give you more time to work on that 4-year plan and like some of those future projections with your counselor as well. So please just try to put a little bit of thought into it. Coming to this night is great, and I'll review some other ways to prep as well. We have an additional layer of support here for you as you think about making your course requests. The CHS counselors are going to be hosting a very informal drop-in Q&A sessions throughout the month of March. So I'm going to be posting this calendar on our Canvas page and sending it out as well. But as you can see here, each counselor has signed up for a night to just be there live on the Google Meet. You'll just click on the little link and you'll be brought to a Google Meet, and it's super informal. There's no presentation. They're just there as like a drop-in to answer any questions. And you don't have to go to just your counselor's Q&A. You can go to any of the counselor's Q&As, just drop in if you happen to have a question that day and you see, ooh, there's a Q&A tonight, let me drop in. You could also just kind of go and listen to other people's questions and maybe you'll learn something, but do keep in mind it's like an open forum type thing, so it's not a private meeting. There could be other people there on the line as well. So in order to prep for this whole process, you're going to want to make sure that you visit the course selection page of our website, which is, if you go to the SOMSD district website and go to the CHS page and then click on counseling, that's where you'll find this, the course selection page. There's a lot of really important documents on here. The first one being our program of studies for next year. It's a very long document, but very worth reading from front to back. It explains not only a lot of our processes and protocols, but has a lot of information about opportunities for you. And it ultimately has descriptions of every single course that we offer. And it breaks it down by which requirement it fulfills, what grade level is eligible to take that course, if there are any prerequisites, and a summary of what the course is about. So we really strongly recommend that you start there by reading our program of studies. We also have instructions for how to actually submit your course requests on PowerSchool. I'll go through those tonight as well. And then you'll see that we just posted the letter that each grade received in terms of the course selection process so that you can kind of verify and check back there. And it does detail step by step what you should do to start thinking about your courses for next year and to ultimately submit them on PowerSchool. Each grade also has a little worksheet. It's just a little visual cheat sheet that'll help you start to think about those course requests. So
I would just add, I'm sorry, excuse me. If you are an upperclassman, still go through the program of studies because Ms. Ballasone and the team has really, they've revamped it. They've added a lot of information that used to be in our student handbook. So it's all in one nice document there. So definitely, even if you're a junior or a rising senior, definitely check it out because it's newly updated.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. And so I'm just going to highlight a couple things from the program of studies right now. The first is about credits and how that works. There's often a lot of questions about this. Most students do take a 35 credit year, which pretty much means it's a periods 1 through 8 schedule. And here's the breakdown of the credits for each class. So your class could be a full year class for 5 credits, a half year class or a semester class for 2.5 credits. And then all the PE and health or driver ed courses are 1.25, and those are quarter long. So that kind of explains the breakdown of the credits per class. So if you think about it, if you fill up a period 1 through 8 schedule, that would equal 35 credits. A lot of you on here probably have taken a 9th period or are planning to take a 9th period. That would be a 40 credit schedule. Generally speaking, although of course there's other circumstances, but it's okay to do that. We just want to remind you that you're then unable to take advantage of the 9th period conference period, which is that time to meet with your teachers and get the extra help directly from the teachers. So you would be foregoing that if you selected a period 1 through 9 schedule. So we just want to remind you of that. Another really important thing to always remember is that there are a certain number of credits required to progress onto the next grade. So if you're hoping to be a senior next year, you need to have earned at least 90 credits in total by the end of this year. So these are the thresholds for each year. And then of course you need 120 credits to graduate high school. Here are the graduation requirements. They're in the program of studies. I really encourage you to familiarize yourself with these and even memorize them. It's really important to be aware of, why your counselor makes certain recommendations for you, and why we kind of direct you in certain ways. It's also really important to remember that while these are high school graduation requirements, they are not college admission requirements. Those can be very different. For example, you see here that only 3 years of math is required to graduate from high school in the state of New Jersey, but a lot of competitive colleges will expect that you've taken the 4th year of math as well. If you look down, actually only 1 year of world language is required to graduate high school. But a lot of those competitive colleges are going to be expecting at least 2 to 3 years of the same language. And some very competitive colleges may even want that 4th year, depending on what you're saying you want to major in. So it's really important to be aware of these. We do have those elective requirements down at the bottom of this list, which we will talk about more in detail tonight. So one of the big questions that you're going to be asking yourself as you go through this course request process is if you're ready for honors and AP. As you start to move through high school and become, a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, there's more and more opportunities for honors and AP. And it may be your first time thinking about taking one. So here are just some items that you should be thinking about if you're going to kind of be going for it and maybe trying honors for the first time, or maybe adding more honors or AP to your existing schedule that you have now. So of course you want to be enthusiastic and interested in the subject. For a lot of our students trying honors for the first time, they say, oh, should I take all honors? You totally can, but if you're nervous about that, maybe think about which subjects you are the most interested in, and those would be the ones that we would definitely be pushing you to go for honors in. It's important that you have those good study habits, and I think that this year's different for a lot of us. I think some of our great habits may have gone by the wayside. So it's really important to remember that this year is definitely not very telling of what you can do. It's been a tough year for a lot of us. So it's important to kind of also think back historically to how you've always been as a student and who you want to be next year as a student. And just think about some of these items. Is this the kind of student you want to be? And if so, then you're ready for honors and AP. And we really encourage you to go for it and to challenge yourself. And always want to remind everybody that there is the opportunity to move down, right? So if you chose an AP that has an honors level and you're just really struggling, you're really miserable, you've tried all the resources that we had, you've really gone for help, and you're still just it's not going the way you wanted it to, there is an opportunity to move down to the honors level throughout the year. And same thing if you went for the honors, there is the opportunity to move down to the academic. So it doesn't hurt to go for it. That's why we're encouraging you to go for it. And of course, there's the opportunity, if it didn't work out, to change your mind there. So I think a lot of you are familiar with GPA, but I also sometimes felt like I had upperclassmen who still didn't fully understand our GPA. So I just wanted to point out that this is in the program of studies. It's our GPA scale, and you do get 2 GPAs each year, an unweighted GPA and a weighted GPA. You can see that the unweighted GPA is kind of simple. For every letter grade, there's a numerical value associated with it. Those would all get averaged out at the end of the year, and that would be your unweighted GPA. The weighted GPA is more complicated because you can see here that the letter grade, the numerical value of each letter grade goes up as your level goes up. So like a B+ in an academic class is a 3.67, but in an honors it's a 4, and in an AP it's a 4.33. So the other difference is that only those core weighted subjects and weighted electives are in the weighted GPA. The unweighted GPA has all of your classes in it. So you do get 2 different GPAs for each year, and it's just important to understand the implications of kind of going for some of those honors and AP classes. Your GPA can increase for the same letter grade if you kind of went for that honors and AP. So it's just something to keep in mind. So here's kind of that visual of like that 1 through 8 schedule or 1 through 9 schedule that a lot of people are looking for. There's courses that are required and or strongly recommended, even for seniors. If that 4th year isn't required, we're strongly recommending it. That would be English, math, science, history. You have to take PE every year, and a lunch period. We also strongly recommend that world language period each year. Then that leaves you period 8 electives, right? Your year of electives, and then either the conference period, or if you wanted to pick additional electives that would eat into that conference period, that would be that 1 through 9. So this is just a little visual of what that all breaks down as. So let's kind of talk about each subject here. So for English language arts, sorry, I see I made a typo here. So for grade 10, you're going to be picking English 2, either academic or honors. For grade 11, this is what I really want to focus on here. Things change when you're thinking about grade 11 for English, because you can either take English 3 academic, or you can pick an honors English, and we have a large selection of honors courses. I'm going to talk about them more in a minute on the next slide. There's also the opportunity now to take an AP English course, AP Language and Composition. And then in grade 12, it's a similar type of thing. You can either take English 4 academic, one of the honors courses, which we'll talk about in a second, or AP Literature. So it does change. The English offerings change once you become an 11th grader, and it's important to be prepared for that when you're putting in these course requests. These are the English honors electives that are available to grades 11 and 12. You'll notice that some of them are only available to grade 12, creative writing and research-based writing and debate. And the others are available to both grades 11 and 12. But if you're going to be an 11th grader and you want to take honors English, you're not just necessarily going to be picking one class. You have to select one of these. You have to go through the program of studies, and you have to read the course descriptions for each of these classes and be prepared. You don't just want to go to the meeting with the counselor not having read the course descriptions before, because there's a lot of options, and that could take a long time to read through all those course descriptions. So it's really important to kind of look through and see what the rules are. We have a lot of rules with some of these classes that are detailed in the program of studies, where if you take one in 11th grade, you can't take the next in 12th grade. That's what some of those asterisks on here mean. So it's really important to read that carefully. For math, it follows the sequence, right? You're going to pick the next course in the sequence. At the bottom here, I have a note about the Summer Math Advancement Program, and that's what I really want to plug tonight. You're going to get more information about this program from our STEM department in the next few weeks. Everyone will get the communication about that, but it's really important to note that you are able to move ahead in the trajectory and take a math class that you may be scheduled for next year over the summer, and then be able to move on to the next. So if you are a 9th grader right now in Algebra 1, you do have to request geometry for next year, because that's the next course in the sequence. But if you decide that you want to do geometry over the summer through our math advancement program, you can then go on to take Algebra 2 next year and kind of move ahead in the trajectory and be able to get to calculus. There was also a STEM information night the other week, and it's now posted on the SOMSD YouTube page if you missed it. So I strongly recommend that you watch that video of the STEM info night. That was the other week. It's on that YouTube page. So now it kind of gets fun as you become an upperclassman, because there's like other electives involved that you can pick from. So if you wanted your elective period to be math, these are some of the options for math electives, and all the descriptions are in the program of studies, of course. Now for science. Each year, there's a specific class that you need to take until you become a senior. Then there is no specific science class that you need to take. You would be selecting one of the science electives. So here are science electives that are available. If you are in grade 10 or 11, you do have to take physics or chemistry, depending on which grade you're in. But if you wanted your electives to be science electives in addition to that core course, you can take one of these classes. And then once you become a senior, there's a ton more options for you. And if you wanted to take a science, you'd have to pick one of these. There's no prescribed class. You would have to select one of these electives as your science period. So you have a lot of fun classes, honors AP, and I strongly recommend that you read the course descriptions of all of these. Our biology and pop culture honors elective is new this year, and I think it sounds like a lot of fun, so I hope a lot of people take advantage of that one. Something to note that I think someone asked about in the chat is that the AP science classes do take up 2 periods of the day. One of the periods is like a normal class where it meets Monday through Friday on a normal bell schedule year, but it has a lab twice a week. So for the second period, you're also meeting 2 times a week. So for the other 3 days that week, you would be in a study hall. So you can't put another course that period. So it does take up 2 periods of the day, and one of those periods is only twice a week. So therefore, the class is worth 7 credits, because it's the 5 credits of the full year for the 1 period, plus those extra 2 credits for the 2 days a week. So for social studies, similar kind of thing. So there's a prescribed class that you need to be taking in grade 10 and grade 11, US 1 and US 2, but then in grade 12, there's no prescribed class for social studies. The electives are what's available. So here's like another little breakdown of all those fun electives that you can pick as a senior. A lot of these are also available to 11th graders, but this would be in addition to US History 2 for 11th graders, right? So you would still have to take that, but you could pick these as your electives if you wanted to. But if you're a senior, there's no prescribed class, so this is what you have to pick from. These are very popular classes. Our students love these classes, so you'll have some fun reading about those in the program of studies. These are our 4 languages that we offer. Of course, you would just select the next in your trajectory wherever you are. We do recommend like kind of going for it and hopefully taking AP ultimately in your world language that you've been committed to for all these years. So here's the situation. We need you to pick at least 5 credits of electives, right? Because that would be that 8th period. And then we also need you to pick at least 5 credits of an alternate elective, a backup, so that if you didn't get what you picked, we could try to get you into your backup choice. So how do you pick 5 credits of something? Either by picking a full year course that's worth 5 credits, like Art 1, or by picking 2 semester-long courses that are worth 2.5 each, like Drawing and Design. So in this situation, you could pick Art 1 as your first choice elective, and then your backup elective could be Drawing and Design. All right. So here is our list of visual and performing arts electives. You ultimately need to fulfill 5 credits of these to graduate high school, but it can be any year. So it doesn't matter, you can do the senior year if you want to. But this is kind of part of that 4-year planning. You want to think ahead about this, right? Because you will ultimately need to fulfill this. It is your school counselor's job to be monitoring this, so they'll make sure and check that you have what you need to graduate and make sure that senior year you're scheduled for whatever you haven't taken. But just keep in mind that these are 5 credits of these are required. And if you read the descriptions in the program of studies, you'll also see that some of these are available for certain grades, some are available for all of the grades. And these are the 21st Century Life and Careers electives. Also 5 credits of these are required for graduation, and you can take them any year. We have a new class here, Computer Science A, AP, which is going to be fun, that we just added. So that's newly added to the program of studies.
Ms. Ballasone, just a quick question. How can a parent see how many credits a student has? Do they just have to add it up by looking at historical grades, or is there an easier way in the parent portal? Excuse me.
I am 90% sure that you can see it in PowerSchool, but I will find out and let everybody know for sure. So let me take a note here. I thought it was under the where you can see your GPA in PowerSchool. I thought it was kind of under there, like under that cumulative info part. But I'll find out for sure and let everyone know and provide a screenshot for where that is.
Thank you.
Good question. So the last real requirement here is a financial literacy requirement. And you can fulfill that requirement by taking either one of these 2 courses. It's only 2.5 credits required for graduation, so either of these 2.5 credit courses can work. So ultimately, you'll have to pick one. We do also have the Money Skills program, which is a free online course that a lot of our students take advantage of. There is a description of that in the program of studies as well. So some students take it that way. And then don't forget, you don't necessarily have to pick an elective from Visual and Performing Arts or 21st Century. You can pick one of these academic electives that we've talked about. So here's just another rundown of them. And then don't forget to put in those alternate electives, those second choice electives. We do try very hard to get everybody their first choice, but there's always going to be a situation, especially if you're somebody who's going to take a lot of APs or courses where they're not offered multiple times a day, where your schedule can get a little tight. So sometimes we do have to go to that alternate. So it really helps if it's there and we know what it is that you're hoping for.
And just so everyone knows, there was a question previously. We don't create the master schedule until all grades are, have met with their counselors, right? So we take all the data from the course requests and then we create our sections. So it's not that if you put in and you submit right now, there's no race till March 26th, right? There's, you know, we want you to have as many discussions with counselors and your children as much as possible to get as much information. So, you know, there's no race to lock into anything because we don't create next year's schedule until we don't start the process until April. So I just wanted you.
Yes, thank you. So with that said, we do build the master schedule based on the requests that you're putting in by March 26th. So there's very little opportunity for a schedule change unless there's an actual error, because we've built the schedule and we've, you know, did the teacher hiring and everything based on your course requests. That's why there's not many opportunities to switch. So here is a rundown of all of the opportunities to make a schedule change next year. There will also be opportunities over the summer when you first get your schedule, but then once the school year starts, this is kind of what we're looking at. We're looking at a few different windows of time in which you're able to make different schedule changes. And this is right out of the program of studies. So you can always look back there and take a look at this to just double check. But you can see that there are various times of the year that you're able to do different things. And some of those things, like changing levels, does require parent or guardian and department supervisor approval. Other things the student is able to do on their own. It's really important to take note of that. I really want to remind everybody here, this is also in the program of studies, that if a senior decides to make a schedule change after their transcript has been sent to the colleges, the student has to inform their colleges of the scholastic change. It is super important. If they don't, their offer of admission could be rescinded ultimately if the college gets their final transcript and it's different from what was sent initially. So it's really important, seniors, you want to put a lot of thought into this. You really want to commit to the requests that you're making, because we do start sending those transcripts out pretty early once the school year starts. So if your transcript goes out and you then decide to change your schedule, you're going to have to inform all of your colleges of that. Just want to remind everybody of that. Another big question that we often get is about when you do change a level in the middle of the year. So it just explains here that if you change like in the middle of Q1, your grade for that quarter would be the weighted average of the outgoing course and your new course. So if you were in honors and you were getting a D and you switch down to academic, that first half of the year will be weighted as a D+. So it'll be weighted up because you then went down a level. It's kind of confusing, but it's just to, you know, make sure that if you think back to that like weighted GPA chart, it'll make sense, right? Because you don't want, it doesn't make sense to get the value of the previous level now that your grade is going to be coming from this new level course. So that's a big question that we get. It's all kind of written out in the program of studies. Just wanted to point you towards there.
And another question regarding GPA is, what appears on the transcript, the weighted GPA and or the unweighted GPA?
Both GPAs appear on the transcript. You should all be able to see that in PowerSchool 2, your unweighted and your weighted GPA for each year, and that will show on the transcript for each year as well. And then a cumulative unweighted and weighted will show at the end. Just a reminder, if you do have any kind of personalized learning plan through an IEP or through ELL, still submit your course request, even though it might feel a little bit funny, like all the classes that you need and the certain sections that you need aren't available to pick. Just pick the basic classes that you want and the electives that you want, because we'll be going through afterwards and we'll be checking every single course request for any student with a personalized learning plan, and we will adjust to the correct sections, and we'll of course contact you if we have any questions about anything. So please still do submit your course requests, even if it feels like you're not sure you have the right section there. We'll be going back and making sure and changing anything as necessary. Also, if you are hoping to be placed in an advanced music ensemble, whether it's or arts ensemble, whether it be like special dance company honors, or, you know, virtuosi, any of these advanced ensembles, you're not able to just select that because successful placement is required. So you're going to have to just select whatever you can. I call it the foundational course. So if you want to get into an advanced choral ensemble, you're just going to have to pick chorus, the only one you're able to pick. And then we'll end up getting the list of who were accepted into the advanced ensembles, and we'll end up switching the request on our end. Also, what the school counselor does is verify that you have the requirements to graduate high school in the state of New Jersey, and we guide you and advise you on college admission requirements and try to encourage you to keep up that rigor and everything like that. But when it comes down to it, you, the student, are responsible for knowing what the requirements are for your own college, because some colleges do have different requirements, unique requirements, and there's obviously a lot of colleges in the world, so the school counselors can't possibly memorize every single thousands of college unique requirements. So it is your responsibility in the end to know what your college's requirements are and make sure you're meeting them. So we do encourage you to kind of do that research as you're making your course requests as you move into those final years of high school. So now that you've read the program of studies, you kind of look through some of these cheat sheets, you've been here tonight, it is time to kind of go on PowerSchool and enter those course requests. So you're just going to go on either through the student or parent portal. You're going to click on class registration over on the side. There will be a link to the program of studies there if you want to check it out there. You'll notice that some courses are already in there for you. So your lunch and your phys ed are already going to be in there for you. You don't have to select those. But for every other section, you're going to have to click on the little pencil for the category. So this is pointing towards a little pencil for English, and all of the options for that category will pop up. You might not be able to click on some because you may not have the prerequisite that is required for the course, but you will be able to click on anything that's available to you. Some of these options do have 2 pages worth of options, so make sure you're checking out that second page too. And then you're going to click OK once you've selected your course, and then your little red exclamation mark for the section will turn into a green check mark. That's how you know that it accepted your request. Make sure you pick those alternates. That's down at the bottom. There's some sections that say alternates. You're going to want to pick those. If you try to submit it and you did something wrong, it will not let you actually submit it. An error message will pop up. So don't worry, you can't do anything wrong. And even if you did, it's no big deal. We can always change it on the back end. So nothing to be too nervous about, but we are really strongly encouraging you to please go in and actually enter those course requests. At the end, you're just going to press submit, and then your selections will pop up. So from then on, if you click on class registration in PowerSchool, you'll see the selections that you've made for next year. One thing that is going to also be in PowerSchool at some point next week, I'll let everyone know when it's up, is that there's going to be a parent guardian verification form that every parent needs to sign for their child, verifying that you approve and are aware of the requests that have been made as of March 26th, the deadline. So there will be a letter in eCollect in PowerSchool that we're going to be asking you to go on and digitally sign to make sure you're aware of what your student requested. So again, you can go on and edit and change your requests until March 26th. You can even change them like 5 times. Every day you could wake up and decide you want to change them. So just please try to submit something knowing that you can change it, of course, through March 26th. After that, there won't be opportunities to change your requests, but when you get your schedule over the summer, there will start to be opportunities to change your schedule. Don't forget, summer math advancement is a great opportunity. Keep your eyes and ears out for that letter and the notice from the STEM department about math advancement over the summer. And of course, we're encouraging everybody to challenge themselves. Next year's a new year, right? Let's kind of start fresh. Hopefully it'll be a great year. And we always say kind of go for it. We're here to support you the best we can and kind of connect you with all of our resources. And so really we encourage you to go for it and challenge yourself to the best level of comfort that you feel for yourself. And of course, go Cougars. So I want to thank everybody for kind of sticking through that content heavy presentation. And now we're happy to go over to the chat here and take your questions. Thanks, Principal Sanchez, for responding in here to some people. One
thing, a PDF version of do we have one of the program of studies? Or can we make one and people can pick up if needed?
Oh, a paper copy?
Yes, yes.
I'm happy to print one out.
Yeah, so, okay, so we'll make a couple copies, and if you would like to pick one up, just send an email to my secretary or myself, and we'll have them for you at the security desk at the front lobby.
Of course, that's a great idea to leave some there. Okay. So let me see, I'll start at the top here.
I rocked them all, I think.
Oh, you did? You got them all?
I think so.
I know some of them say they were privately. Does that mean you didn't see them?
Oh, I didn't see those.
Okay. Someone's asking how they know who their child's counselor is. It's in Power School. If you go to the page where their schedule is, their like counselor's name is right there on top of their schedule. If you can't find it at all, feel free to email me and I'll definitely let you know and connect you with them.
There was a question about where to sign up for the meeting with counselors.
So we sent out links to their calendars, and I can post it, or it's posted on Canvas as well. I can definitely send it out again to remind everybody to click on those links and sign up for those counselor appointments. So it's just like a link to their Google Calendar that was sent out via email from me. But I'll also make sure, it's there on each Canvas page and also send it out again for sure.
There was a question about APs for sophomore year, that the person only sees just a couple of them. And I did notice that AP, computer science are two that could be offered sophomore year, depending on the prerequisite of roadmap to computing.
Right.
AP US History 1 is technically-ish AP class, but it doesn't have an AP test, let's say, at the end of sophomore year, right? I believe that might be it, unless you've met a prerequisite like Spanish is your native language, and perhaps you have progressed so far. But other than that, I don't know if we have any additional AP classes sophomore year.
So if you go to the end of the program of studies, there's actually like this really cool chart that breaks down all the APs and the grades, and it like has a check mark for which APs are available for which grades. And of course, there's like some caveats because you do need prerequisites for some of them. So I do think that there might be a couple of others, but it might be like music theory. It's something very specific.
Yes, music
So
theory.
you have to be really interested in that to take that. So it's not like the core in terms of the core subjects. It's US History 1 that's available at AP for 10th grade. But then there are like a lot more that start become available in 11th grade. That's why you want to do that 4-year planning and kind of think ahead. So make sure you meet the prerequisites for those that become available if there are any.
Thank you.
Go ahead. So there's a question here about, are you able to take any of the 21st Century Life and Career classes over the summer? So there is a whole section of the program of studies called earning credit outside of the program of studies, and it's about what you would do in all kinds of situations in which you hope to earn credit outside of the school year and outside of Columbia, because we do not offer that through Columbia over the summer. But a lot of people may want to seek it out on their own, whether it's through like an online school or some other school that offers it, and then transfers the credits to us. So the protocol and process for all of that is in the program of studies under the earning credit outside of the program of studies section.
But it would have to be approved prior to them taking it, correct?
Yep, that's all detailed in there. It does require pre-approval from the department supervisor. So yeah, that's all spelled out in there.
I just want to stress that before anyone orders any online class.
For sure. Okay, thank you. I do see you answered a lot of these. That's great. Okay, so what is discrete math is a question. So for a lot of our students who maybe their 4th year of math would have been pre-calculus, but don't feel totally psyched about taking pre-calculus or just don't feel prepared for it and want to do it, it's just another option for a 4th year math instead of pre-calculus. So the full description of it is in the program of studies. But that's what it is. It's an alternate option if you don't want to do pre-calculus but want that 4th year of math, because we really encourage all of our students to take the 4th year of math because it just prepares you for any type of college level math. So that would be the option that you could do instead of pre-calculus and kind of continuing on that trajectory. Yes, all AP sciences require that lab and the 2 periods. Okay. So a lot of questions about, taking classes online to fulfill some of these elective requirements. Again, that would all be, earning credit outside of what we offer. It would be kind of going through an online program or some other school and then transferring the credit to us. So it's just important to read the instructions for that in the program of studies. And again, like Principal Sanchez said, make sure you're getting that pre-approval from the department supervisor. Okay. So the links again for those counselor calendars to sign up for the appointment, they were sent to both students and parents. I believe it was sent out this Sunday, which was the 21st. Okay. Math classes in middle school do not count towards the graduation. We still would want the student to take 3 years of high school math.
The only thing I just added to that was that credits still have to be through high school, 15 credits or 3 years, right, for math. But the one thing is you do get graduation credit, not credit for graduation, but for graduation requirement, you have to pass algebra. And so many of our students take algebra in middle school. That still counts for the graduation requirement, just not for the graduation credit. So even if a student comes blessed, like taking algebra 2 or pre-calc freshman year, they still have to take 3 years of high school math. So just so everyone knows.
Exactly.
And it looks like there have been a couple questions about option 2. We will have option 2 return next year. And that will be, and that's for any sport that is a sport that we run here at Columbia High School. And I believe in previous years, we also added it to outside sports. Ms. Ballison?
Yeah, as long as it's a competitive sport, as long as there's competition involved.
Exactly. So if a student sometimes will say, oh, I work out at the gym, that doesn't count to, to get out of PE. However, if you are a power lifter, well then, and there are competitions, then surely there is training, which would constitute an option 2. Same thing with gymnastics and dance.
Thank you. We also have a question here about like wanting to move forward on the art trajectory. So like wanting to be in art 3, but you've only taken art 1. So that's kind of like that advanced ensemble thing where you would need to have permission from the supervisor. So I do recommend reaching out to our visual and performing arts supervisor, James Mano. His contact information is in the program of studies, but it's just jmano, JMANNO at somsd.k12.nj.us. And he can connect you for like a little placement assessment to see if you're in a good spot to skip ahead and go to art 3. Good question here. Is it ever too late to drop down a level? So again, in the program of studies, there was that chart that I showed you guys with the different dates and like what you can do on each of those dates. And so there is a point where it would be too late to drop down a level, and that would be after the midpoint of the year. So once quarter 3 starts, then it's too late to drop a level or move up a level. So it's not just about dropping a level. You could also, of course, move up a level. But the beginning of quarter 3 would be when it's too late to do that. So you do have all of semester 1 to, assess. Okay. Great question here. If a junior is taking an AP calculus course, what do most of them do senior year? So most of them so there's actually a few things that I wouldn't say that most, there's a few things they can do. Some of them do take Calc BC. If they took AB Calc, that's the exact question here. So that is possible, but some of them just do like AP Stats, AP Computer Science, Advanced Topics in Math, some of those other math electives that are available.
Right, Calculus 3 and linear math, I think is the back-to-back semester class after that as well.
Right. Okay, I think you answered this. Yes, there is an appendix with all the AP classes and what's available for each grade at the end of the program of studies. Great question. Special dance is also 2 periods long, but it's part of our option 2 program. So the students get visual and performing arts credits for one of the periods, and then they're able to do option 2 PE for the second period. So it is 2 periods long technically, but you're able to kind of fit in 2 different classes in a way since you're doing option 2 for PE.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm sorry if I missed it. I'm at the bottom. I'm sorry if I missed anybody's question. You can always reach out to me anytime with any question at all, or to your child's counselor. They're ready and waiting for your questions. All right. Anything else you wanted to add, Principal Sanchez?
I would say that I think it's really important to have the conversation with your child about this process. I know, I mean, I don't want to project my issues here, but you know, when I talk to my kids, my students, we're doing the same thing at home with our daughters and their schedule, and it wasn't a great meeting. We tried to do it all at one time, and now we're like breaking it up little by little each night at dinner, trying to figure out their classes for next year. I would totally recommend that, unless of course your children are better than mine. But if that's a great technique, try to have little small conversations so there's not a lot of stress coming at once about it. Take them for a ride because they can never get out of the car, right? When you're talking to them, I think that's always a great technique. But it's really important to be part of this process. And that's why I'm so happy that Ms. Ballison has taken the scheduling process kind of out of that classroom and into having these really independent conversations one-on-one with the counselor. So we really want the students to be part of the process, and of course you to be part of the process. So that's my only advice. And again, check out the program of studies. It's such an incredible array of classes that these teachers have created. I think the breadth of our program of studies is unmatched across the state of Missouri. There's so many great classes. It's like a college catalog. So we thank our counselors and our teachers and supervisors for creating such a great topic, Ms. Ballison.
And we thank you for supporting us through all of this, and we're so happy to have you here with us at Columbia. So thank you, Principal Sanchez. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I know it's been a long day. Most of you have probably been in front of a computer all day, so I know it's not always the most fun to think about getting back on the computer, but we so appreciate you being here and tuning in. And of course, we will post this on the YouTube page in the coming days, and we'll be sending out lots of reminders about all this as well. And I did write down a couple of pieces of homework that I have here, and I'll make sure I get back to everybody with that information. So thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you soon. Thanks, Principal Sanchez.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks, Ms. Ballison.
You're welcome.